The amalgam of forces fighting against Daesh has cinched the noose tight. Mosul, captured in 2014, is Daesh's last stronghold in Iraq. It seems now it has nowhere to run, with all routes in and out of Iraq's second-largest city closed off. But with a major victory against Daesh on the horizon comes the specter of greater sectarian strife. Popular mobilization forces, comprised of Shia militias, are at the center of this worrying prospect. They've been instrumental in taking back territory from Daesh. But they've also been accused of human rights violations, including extrajudicial killings, kidnappings, and torture. Some fight under a nationalist banner, such as those loyal to Shia cleric Muqtada al-Sadr, while others have a strong adherence to Iran, a country which, like Iraq, has a Shia majority. Many Sunnis have long protested against the Shia-dominated government in Baghdad, accusing it of discrimination and exclusion. Sentiments deeply felt by many Shia during the rule of Saddam Hussein and his Sunni-dominated Ba'ath Party. Saddam Hussein governed Iraq with an iron fist that smothered the flames of sectarianism. But once that grip was broken, a smoldering divide was revealed. Many Sunnis lost their positions in government and the military, anyone who was affiliated with his Ba'ath Party. De-Ba'athification in Iraq would have significant consequences. And the Shia-led government of Nouri al-Maliki would draw the ire of many Sunnis. At the same time, a number of Shia militias formed. Many would later become part of the popular mobilization forces, now fighting against Daesh. After the collapse of the Iraqi military, and in the face of Daesh's bold offensive in 2014, these militia emerged even more powerful. But with the Iraqi military now restored, there are questions whether their presence is necessary, and whether they only serve to deepen Iraq's Shia-Sunni divide. The integration of Shia militia as a legitimate state force has raised a number of questions. Under the new law which recognizes them, they must relinquish their political allegiances. How to enforce that, however, is unclear. They will report directly to Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi, something which has drawn comparisons to Iran's Revolutionary Guard, an ideologically driven militia. Abadi says he will ensure greater accountability for any crime committed by the popular mobilization forces.
I'm not revealing a secret by telling you there are many of the PMF members who've been sentenced in Iraq for crimes during the war, including, of course, some in our own security forces. I give zero tolerance for any excess against human rights.
Iraq's Shia-Sunni divide is widely attributed as a key factor in how Daesh managed at one time to control a third of the country. Now the Iraqi army, Kurdish Peshmerga forces, and Shia militia have united with the aim of ridding the country of Daesh once and for all. But will that unity endure if and when their common enemy is defeated? Randolph Nogel, The Newsmakers.
Well, joining me now in the studio to discuss this further is Ahmed al-Burai. He's a lecturer at Istanbul Aydın University. And from Baghdad is Saad al-Mutallabi. He's a member of Iraq's governing state of law coalition and also a member of the Baghdad Security Committee. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. Ahmed, let's start with you. Is this a good or a bad idea, absorbing these popular mobilization committees into the mainstream of the Iraqi army and fighting with them?
I think it's a bad idea, mainly because these people are in parallel with the government. Originally, they're not abiding to the rules and regulations of the government. They believe that they're above the whole government and they're the upper hand, they're the superpower, and they can control Iraq. That's clear with the proclamations and the announcement of some of their leaders, like Qais al-Khazali. He is the Secretary General of Asa'ib Ahl al-Haq, or the League of Righteous. When he publicly stated that we're going to participate in the Mosul battle regardless of the fears of the international community and the other Sunni factions in Iraq. We will be there and we will defeat ISIL, whatever the international community thinks and whatever Turkey or other regional powers think.
Okay, so I'm going to bring up human rights violations and allegations of human rights violations in a few moments' time. But first of all, Saad al-Mutallabi, this idea that these guys might be more aligned with Iran than Iraq, when people look at photographs of, say, the Quds Forces commander Qasem Soleimani with Popular Mobilization Forces and their commander Abu Mahdi al-Muhandis, these guys flying Lebanese Hezbollah flags, them brandishing pictures of Ayatollah Khomeini and so on, you would understand why people would be freaking out that maybe these guys are ideologically aligned with Iran and they're not truly representing the Iraqi people, wouldn't you?
Yes, definitely. I mean, Iraq today is an open battlefield for regional powers and international powers. As you very well know, we have a large contingency of Turkish troops who are aligned with Mr. Athir al-Nujayfi, who has openly declared his alliance to Turkey and his obedience of all Turkish decisions, again with his brother, Mr. Osama al-Nujayfi, and of course we have Masoud Barzani, who has an agreement with the Turkish government for 50 years to come on matters of oil and exports. So in return, it's very natural for the other side, since we are speaking philosophically now, that the other side will see themselves as marginalized. The Shia understand that the Iraqi government today is a coalition government made of Kurds and Sunnis and Shia, but it is divided to 33% on each component. So the Shia see themselves as marginalized and see themselves as given more than they should have given, and lost many of their the point of being a social majority, where now they see themselves as a political minority. So it's understandable that they feel that, like the others are aligning themselves to Turkey, they think it's okay to align themselves to Iran.
Okay, so let's
that is the problem of this thing.
Sure, okay. So Ahmed, everybody's getting involved. It's a proxy battlefield, all sorts of countries getting involved. Turkey, Iran, and so on. So it's only natural, according to Saad al-Mutallabi, that these guys would be looking towards Iran and getting their support from them. How would you respond to that?
The point is, it's not me who's saying that, it's Osama al-Nujayfi. And the man, he said that he is cozy up to Turkey and to other Sunni groups. The point is, if you as a government, the central government in Iraq, if you believe that you're representing the whole spectrum of the people, the whole factions, you shouldn't allow this. Yeah, it's absolutely there. All the world is there in Iraq and in Syria fighting the so-called terrorism, but at the same time, they're turning a blind eye to the other extremists from the Shia sects. People don't know why. This is happening and this is going to be happening. And by failing to involve the Sunnis, you know what, it's very ridiculous and pathetic when you just speak about this and you completely disregard what happened in 2008. Who defeated Al-Qaeda in Iraq? It was the Sunni Muslims, it was the Sunni tribes at the time of 2008. And then now you're replacing them with these kind of militias who are completely indoctrined with hate to the other groups.
Okay, so let's get Saad. Saad, respond firstly. You had the Sahwa, the awakening councils, they were Sunnis. What happened to that?
Well, they have done a wonderful job. I was one of the people who have actually formed the Sahwas, the Awakening. I was in charge of that file from the Iraqi side with the martyr Sattar Burisha and the Americans and General Lamb from the British forces. And it was a wonderful success. And we have actually reached at that time a social reconciliation. And nobody could speak of sectarianism again until the Syrian crisis. After the Syrian crisis, the waves of extremism and the waves of sectarianism started to arrive from Syria, which change the view of what's happening in Iraq.
Sure. And one of the crucial things, one of the crucial differences was that when the Awakening Councils, for example, defeated al-Qaeda, in their wake, they did not persecute Shia populations. But what we're seeing here, when we look at Human Rights Watch reports, Amnesty
that's
International...
not correct.
At the scale that it's going on now in October, if you'll allow me to just finish this. In October, a report from Amnesty International, it's entitled Punished for Daesh's Crimes. Security forces and paramilitary militias have consistently committed serious human rights violations and violations of international humanitarian law. They have subjected Sunni Arabs who have fled territories controlled by Daesh to arbitrary detention, torture, enforced disappearance, and unlawful killing. In Anbar, in Salahuddin, in Kirkuk, in Nineveh. There's also a Human Rights Watch report, but we don't have too much time. So my question to you then is, if they've committed so many disgusting abuses, what makes the Iraqi government trust these guys other than the fact that this is sectarian?
This information is incorrect. Amnesty International does not have an office in Baghdad. They do not have reporters, honest reporters at the fronts. They receive their reports from politically aligned individuals like Osama al-Nujayfi, who is a Sikh sectarian person, and such personalities who have spread lies. The United Nations General Secretary confirmed that the Iraqi forces did not commit any crimes against humanity.
Okay, but between crimes and crimes against humanity, there are many layers.
There is
right?
no crime.
What's so wrong about saying, hey, they committed mistakes,
Look,
they did bad things, we're going to try and fix it?
No,
what's the big problem with that? It sounds as if the Prime Minister is saying
there is no such thing. We was talking about individuals. He was talking about 2 or 3 persons who are now in jail being tried for their crimes against individuals. If we speak of a humanitarian crisis, then we are taking the whole thing out of context. There is no such thing. So unfortunately, I mean, there are people who are benefiting from such rumors and trying to initiate a further internal Iraqi sectarian distrust.
So for the record, Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch are both wrong.
Definitely. Definitely. They do not have people on the ground here in Iraq. So how could they be honest in their reports?
Okay, Ahmed?
Yeah, this is a very...
While the United Nations, while UNDP and the United Nations, they have offices here in Baghdad.
Okay, let's bring it up.
They have employees at the front.
Mr. al-Muttalibi, he is a very professional man and advocator of the devil. He is very good in this, in portraying or in describing everything as colorful, as if nothing is going in the wrong way. This state of denial, the strategy of a state of denial, he is very good at this. He is imagining that before the Syrian war, nothing was wrong, everything was good. The PMFs didn't do anything wrong to the people. All the international organizations, the NGOs, the eyewitnesses, they're all lying, and the only source of truth is the Iraqi government, which is completely not true.
I'm going to give Saad al-Muttalibi an opportunity to respond to that. But first, let me ask you, Ahmed, okay, there's a bunch of bad guys on the ground. Iraq is a mess. What's the big problem if these guys, Hashd al-Sha'bi, whoever you get, can manage to destroy Daesh, can manage to get rid of them? Wouldn't it be worth it? You know, they talk about World War II. They say you needed Stalin to defeat Hitler and you deal with Stalin afterwards. If they managed to defeat Daesh, would it be worth it, Ahmed?
The point is not just defeating Daesh. The day after, what will happen? Imagine that we replace Daesh with these people. What did we do? At the end of the day, this is the crux of the problem. You're not going to replace extremists with other extremists. The people on the ground, they need to entrust, to have a kind of trust and faith in their own representatives. These people are not representing them. They're not saving them. You know what? There is something called the Tikrit rules between the American administration and the Iraqi central government. They agreed that the the PMFs are going to encirculate the whole city and protect the people who are fleeing the ISIS or the Daesh-held areas. What did they do? They literally executed some of them. Their videos and releases from there, torturing children, abusing them. And you know, now Saad al-Muttalibi is laughing, which is very ridiculous and pathetic again. This is not a scene that you're going to laugh at, because we already witnessed this. We've seen this on the social media where children are being beaten by hammers from these people and nothing being punished.
Okay, now we are running out of time. A couple of claims against you there, Saad al-Muttalibi, so I'm going to give you a chance to respond briefly, please, sir, because we are running out of time.
Yes, unfortunately, he's again going on doctored films and films made by ISIS wearing wrongly designed Iraqi uniforms, declaring obviously that they are ISIS and Daesh and committing crimes, trying to fix this to the Iraqi army. And again, you know, these are jokes. The people in Iraq understand this is our jokes. The PMUs or the PMFs are now in Tel Afar, and they haven't entered Tel Afar. They haven't reached any surrounding areas in Mosul. They are 20 kilometers away from Mosul. How would they meet any refugees from Mosul? You see, the whole thing is wrong. What you've got is a misinformation and exaggeration of events. And we don't really care what you think or the others, because we have the United Nations on our side. The employees are in the front line. They are with the PMUs. Associated Press, Reuters, they are at the front line, BBC and the others. They are recording live what is happening. So really what Amnesty International or the others who do not have offices in Iraq, whatever they say, you would believe that, but the people of Iraq, Sunni and Shia, will just laugh at it.
My final question for you, sir, because we are completely out of time, but I want to squeeze this in. Politically, are you worried for Iraqi democracy when you look at this motion to absorb Hashd-e-Shaabi into the army? When we look at it, it was 208 votes to 0 out of the 327 MPs. All the Sunni MPs boycotted. That doesn't sound like much of a democracy. Are you worried about Iraqi democracy when a motion like that gets passed?
No, 6 MPs from Sunni MPs voted pro the law, the legislation. And the agreement is that 40% of the PMF are to be Sunnis from Ramadi, Salahuddin, and Nineveh. And again, please give me one example where the PMF have entered a battle and stayed there or made a demographic change. They go, they liberate, they move on. That is the thing. So 40% are Sunnis within this organization, government organization, which is now. And I don't fear any political differences. We are facing next year an election, and I am sure that the present MPs that represent these 3 constitutions, I'm sure that they will lose this governance. I'm sure they lose their seats and will be replaced by young, honest Sunnis who believe in the democratic system in Iraq and not those who are connected to international or national interests or regional interests.
Okay, I'll let that be the final word because we are out of time. Saad al-Muttalibi and Ahmed al-Burai, thank you very much for joining us.